The first pop-up dinner I ever hosted was a disaster. Spoiler alert, it involves a microwave. I'm so grateful to my friends and coworkers that trusted my vision at the time, but when I look back to that day, I really didn't know what I was doing. But you know what? I'm glad I took the plunge. 6 years later, I feel comfortable sharing what happened that night and everything I learned from it. When I came up with the concept of my pop-up dinner series, it was based on theoretical assumptions of what I thought it would take to execute such an event. At the time, I was a passionate home cook and I didn't know what it takes to cook professionally. I thought that the experience of hosting a dinner party for friends at home could be easily translated into executing an event for paying guests in a professional kitchen. I was wrong. I was inexperienced, and so was my team, which mainly consisted of my friends that had graciously offered their help. My sous chef was reading the recipe off of the internet during service. My friends, co-workers, and my boyfriend, who was the designated photographer, were all crammed into this tiny kitchen that we had rented. The only pro on my team was my dishwasher. I designed the menu with my favorite dishes in mind. I handwrote each menu too. I guess I was trying to save on cost and personalize it a bit, but what was I thinking? I did not think through what it would take to execute these dishes. Naturally, these dishes had a lot of components, and majority of these components needed to be prepared during service. The dinner was going well for the first 2 courses until we reached the main course for the evening. The main course was a biryani, which is a rice and meat dish that I've cooked on my channel before, and here's the mistake I made. There were too many variables that I was experimenting with. I didn't know the kitchen, and therefore I didn't know the equipment in the kitchen, and I didn't bother to test them. I wanted to preserve some of the traditional cooking methods, and therefore the biryani had to be cooked in an earthenware pot, and those weren't easily available in the US. So I cooked my biryani in earthenware pots meant to be flower pots that I found on Amazon. I even plugged the holes at the bottom with foil. I had par-cooked the biryani, so all I needed to do was to finish cooking on low heat for about 20 to 30 minutes. I planned on serving the biryani in these earthenware pots, and I was very excited about the reveal at the table. So I put these biryani flower pots into the oven and heated them for about 30 minutes before serving. As the biryani pots were going out, I thought it was all going well because I could hear the oohs and ahs from the guests as the biryani was revealed at their tables. I didn't expect what happened next. I heard one of the servers yelling that we needed to pour more wine, and one by one, the biryani flower pots were coming back into the kitchen. I had heard of the term in the weeds in cooking shows, but now I was experiencing it firsthand. It's not pleasant. Here's where things went wrong. Professional kitchens usually have convection ovens installed. Convection ovens are different from the ovens you have at home because they take a longer amount of time to heat up and to cook the food. I didn't know that, and I didn't realize that it takes a longer amount of time for the heat to penetrate the center of the container. I'm sure the fact that I was cooking in flower pots had something to do with it too. People were out there hungry, waiting for their main course, so I didn't have the luxury of time to be able to put these pots back into the oven. It was a tricky situation and I had to act fast. The diners were getting impatient and I needed to do something to fix this situation. Looking back, I wish I had come up with a different idea, but we decided to heat the biryani in the microwave. So we proceeded to empty each of the earthenware pots and took the contents out onto a plate, heated them in the microwave, and then served them to the guests. Luckily, this kitchen had one, and I was deeply embarrassed every time I heard that unmistakable beep from the microwave. The worst part, it was an open kitchen, so I'm pretty sure quite a few of the guests could hear the beep as well. Fortunately, there was enough wine to drown out the chatter about the cold main course, and the dessert was a hit. I was thankful that these were my friends that had come to support me on my first pop-up instead of strangers that I was catering to. Overall, I was proud that I did something I had only ever dreamed of, and no one left hungry. I clearly remember the dread that came over me as soon as I realized what was happening. I remember the chaos and the embarrassment I felt. I promised myself not to have so many unknown variables in my future menus. I understood that I had a lot to learn about leadership. I also learned that I could go easier on myself and design a menu that didn't have so many components and was easier to execute during service. I was clearly overambitious while designing the menu. This was not a competition about how complicated or difficult the menu could be. I implemented these changes for my future pop-ups and hired pros so that I could lean on their expertise while I gained more experience. This one failure did not define me. I continued to do more and more pop-ups in the future and hone my ability to host these types of events. Failures are a part of life, and for me, they give me an opportunity to learn and grow. It felt like a disaster while it was happening, but I'm thankful that I had that experience because I learned what not to do, and now I have a fun story to share with you. What experiences in the kitchen or in the dining room have you learned from? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to dive into the depths of Indian cuisine and culture.